Dass er hier in München mit am Start ist, Edhouse, Richie Edhouse.
Mother's tired, she needs a rest. The kids are playing up downstairs. Sister's sighing in her sleep. Brother's got a light to keep, he can't hang around. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house was our castle and our keep. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house, that was where we used to sleep. Our house.
Das ist eine kernige Aufgabe für Richie Edhouse, denn er trifft auf die Nummer 16 der Welt. Ein Doppel-Weltmeister, der von 2011 und 2012 aus Stoke-on-Trent, Jackpot, Adrian Lewis.
Final match of the afternoon session, day 2 of the German Darts Grand Prix, and it's an afternoon session that has witnessed the demise of 4 of our seeded players, but perhaps the biggest scalp of the lot, the biggest casualty of the lot, James Wade, a 6-5 defeat at the hands of Kim Huybrechts. Many might point to the defeat suffered by Ian White, the number 2 seed, at the hands of Karol Sedlacek earlier on today, but given the way that Wade has been playing, and given the fact he was 16 matches unbeaten coming into this one, I would say that is the biggest upset of the lot so far. However, will we witness in our final match of the session yet another? The 2-time world champion Adrian Lewis, a man who is moving in the right direction once again, the number 6 seed here this weekend, and a recent winner on the Pro Tour, up against Richie Edhouse, who celebrated his 36th birthday the other day by beating Brendan Dolan 6-4 in his opening match in round 1. Rob Malarkey in the chair for this one, alongside Paul Nicholson. Lewis, for you, or will it be another upset?
I think this is tight because Richie's playing as well as he ever has.
First leg is Richie to throw first. Game on.
Richie's a confidence player, and you may say that everyone's a confidence player, but Richie more so. He's quite a timid lad, and he feeds off what he's done
55.
recently, and recently he's been very, very good. But Adrian, I think, over the course of the next 3 to 4 months, we will find out
58.
just how strong his game is, and you could put a question in the air, and that question is, what does he have to do in the next 3 to 4 months to make people believe that he's going to be in next year's Premier League? Because he's not a shoo-in. He's going to have a big run in big events, probably
45.
multiple times, to get himself back towards the top 10. If he gets back in the top 10 by the end of the year, I think he'll be in the Premier League.
Okay. Well, he needs to take care of business first and foremost here as well, because
100.
success on the European Tour might also prove a helping hand.
I think you're right, Rob, because it's been a very long time since he's won one of these.
140.
He won one of the very first ones, but he's not won one since, which is baffling.
Yeah, he won the German Masters in 2012. But he did win the European Championship itself in 2013.
58.
So not a Euro Tour event in its own right, but it's the culmination of the European
But
Tour.
he won the championship game, you could say.
Yeah.
He didn't win one of the regular season games.
But he does seem to be very much in love
94.
with the Euro Tour again. I mean, he had that time in 2017 where he competed, sparingly in fits and starts here and there, and consequently he fell short of the required money to get into the European Championship.
123.
But lately, you've got to say,
164.
he's developed this reputation for being a man to be feared on the Euro Tour once again. Semi-finalist in Hildesheim.
86.
3 weeks ago, lost to Gurney 7-5.
Yeah, just run out of steam in that game. And tops for Edhouse. A very good start for Richie.
And to throw first. Game on.
Edhouse, I think, may take some encouragement from the fact that these two have met just the once before on the European Tour. 2 times in total, but the one European Tour meeting was at the very start of last year in Leverkusen. It was a first-round match, and Lewis came through, but it was only by 6 legs to 5.
I'm just trying to remember that game. I think that was a belter.
125.
Well, they averaged very similar numbers, and it was when Lewis was still unseeded for these Euro Tour events. His ranking, his Pro Tour Order of Merit, was below
140.
the top 16.
I remember that game now. Richie played really, really well, and he was really taking it to Adrian, and Jackpot was just sticking with him, and at the end, Richie missed 1 or 2 match starts
94.
to nick that game away from Adrian, and Adrian took it. It was a really good game.
Yeah, and they met again a couple of weeks later as well on the Pro Tour, and Lewis again won that one, but this time it was 6-3.
126.
Adrian going for the Rob Cross 302 there, which is 3 treble 18s. But Rob's probably the only guy who would stay on the 18s on the 140 checkout.
100.
I think the way that both of these players play on the hockey, the pace of play, it suits the two of them. And they're not hanging about.
Well, Lewis looks all set to level things up. The winner of this match, by the way, to face either Joe Cullen or
140.
Glenn Duran.
Tasty part of the draw.
And shot the second leg.
Tasty darts from Adrian.
The leg is Richie
Good
to throw
response, that.
first. Game on.
He could be in for something very similar to what we saw from these guys at the beginning of last season.
60.
I've been asked on many occasions from pundits and interviewers alike, as Adrian just flinches over his left shoulder, and whoever's whistling needs to be addressed.
45.
But I've been asked by many people, who did I enjoy playing the most? I actually really enjoyed playing against Adrian and
96.
MVG. I really liked playing within their rhythm, and I felt like I was comfortable. I was very comfortable playing against Phil Taylor as well.
Okay. And of course, you played Lewis on the Euro Tour last year in Gibraltar. I don't really want to remind you of that.
I don't mind that.
I mean, it was a great match.
I loved it. It was a great game. Really enjoyed it. 13 legs of bedlam.
Yeah, he
58.
lost to Van Gerwen in the final, Lewis, after overcoming Nicholson in the last 4. Made the semi-finals in Denmark as well. Quarter-finals, successive quarter-finals in Hildesheim,
134.
in the Dutch Darts Championship and in Riesa. As I said, seems to have fallen in love with the Euro Tour once again.
85.
I think Adrian's just really happy that he doesn't have to qualify for these at the minute. He can enjoy that little 6 next to his name or something similar,
44.
and come into the tournament at this stage and condense a tournament down to 2 days as opposed to 3. It's so much harder to win it over 3 days than 2.
92.
Edhouse, one of these players who's balancing life on the Challenge Tour. He's actually doing really well on the Challenge Tour so far. He is top of the Order of Merit with £2,600. He won a Challenge Tour event earlier this year. He's making up the field at Pro Tour events as well. He's playing in the European Tour too.
78.
Adrian should go for 60 here. Anybody goes 18 first on 118, it's the wrong shot.
The Yoko Ono debate, as we call it now.
Tops.
Tops for Lewis.
98.
16s for Edhouse.
32.
Taking his time over this is Richie.
And shot the third leg.
Worth the weight in gold.
Absolutely right.
Fourth leg is Adrian to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, failed to, well, he lost his tour card at the end of last year, did Richie. Failed to pick up any money whatsoever in 5 of the last 6 tournaments on the Pro Tour calendar. That really did a lot of damage for him. Went to Q school, made the last 32 on a couple of the 4 days there, but missed out on the Order of Merit. And such are the demands of Q School. I mean, there was one match where he played really well against Nathan Rafferty, but Rafferty threw an average of 108 or something, and that just gives you an indication of the levels of intensity and pressure that you are likely to encounter at Wigan.
Standard level for a youth player these days.
Well, yeah.
Chucking in the old 108.
But yeah, he's had a run to the last 16 on the Pro Tour this year when he has been topping up the field, and he's making the most of those opportunities as well.
Just a very good player, has been for years. I remember the first time I ever played Richie in a qualifier for the, I think it was the Dutch Masters, and he beat me in the final game. He gave me a real tousling as well. And I went back to my table with my tail between my legs and I said, "Who's that guy?" James Hubbard said to me, "Oh, you don't know Richie Edhouse? He's brilliant." And I've believed that ever since.
Yeah, Brendan Dolan found that out to his cost as well in the first round. 6-4 that day against the 45-year-old from Fermanagh. Made his European Tour debut in Venray in 2016, did Edhouse. He secured what was, at the time, the biggest payday of his career, £2,000, by reaching the last 16.
That was the one. That was the qualifier he beat me in.
41.
I think he got a bye in that tournament.
Yeah,
Didn't somebody pulled out?
Robert Thornton, who had, Robert Thornton was in the Premier League that year as well, and I think he'd had to pull out of a Premier League assignment that week as well. And Edhouse was the beneficiary in Europe. Robert Thornton, I think, had a foot injury or something, or a back injury that prevented him from travelling to Holland.
It might have been that incident on the Occion in the Premier League where he rolled his ankle.
65.
But Adrian Lewis is in a little bit of trouble here if Edhouse takes this 63. It's a very good approach for double 12. Back to the right side of the board.
Yeah, a bit of moving and toing and throwing there. And chance missed for Edhouse for the break of throw that would have given him a 3-1 lead. Double 18 for Lewis, and as sure as night follows day, Lewis pounces and makes it 2-2.
How good was that first start? That just looked beautiful.
Just lends itself, doesn't it, to what's going to follow.
It went in that treble 20 with such class. I mean, where Adrian throws these darts, you can see everything about them because of that upright angle, but when someone gets a 16, it's in the bottom corner or the top left corner, something like that, you think, oh, well, it's in there. But that was really central. Beautiful dart thrown to give him that chance.
140.
Edhouse likes the Netherlands, by the way. He also made the, as well as the Venray thing, of course, he was a semi-finalist in the Dutch Darts Championship last year as well.
26.
Lost to Ricky Evans.
Yeah, certain players like certain places. No, Jamie Caven was one player who wasn't really fussed by where he won because he would always win in different places.
135.
Adrian's won in quite a few places. He's won a World Series event in New Zealand, won all over the world.
108.
But that's the only part of the board he's concerned with right now.
127.
Down to 161, pressure on this 127 to an extent for Richie Edhouse.
Well, that expression from Richie tells me he knows he's in a match here. He's going to have to squeeze that orange for all the juice it's got. You expect
61.
Adrian to be close. He is very close, and he's really pressurised this 25.
Double 8 then for a 3-2 lead for Richie Edhouse. Lewis waiting on 24, and he will get a crack at 24 as well.
24.
Just goes to show, if you put the pressure on, you can make your opponent think twice. 2 threes.
18. Richie require 16.
Shake of the head from Jack Pott as he trudges to the back of the stage. Doesn't look totally happy out there at the moment, Lewis. Not quite sure what the issue is. He highlighted a whistle, an isolated whistle from the crowd. I think that's died down, but
Yeah,
he just looks a little bit
Single leg is 80 to throw first. Game on.
Lethargic.
Lethargic, yeah, that's the word I was desperately scrambling for there. Paul, thank you very much.
96.
Yeah, he's made a few changes lately, Jackpot, with his equipment, and I think he's settled on this stuff here after a period of 3 to 4 months of looking for something. And it's definitely working. It looks great. It's going in the ball with purpose, consistent angles of entry. Little change this week of not just using standard black flights. He's got a little bit of pattern on there now, which is nice.
Well, we saw Ted Everts earlier, didn't we? Beat Johnny Clayton 6-2. Everts, a man who's produced 2 9-darters so far this year. Likewise, Richie Edhouse. And one of them
105.
finishing on a 153, which you don't see every day.
It's one of the hardest finishes in the book, that
Well, do you know what? I mean, that Venray tournament in 2016, Benito van der Pas during that tournament attempted the very same thing. 174, 174, 153. Missed the double 18 for the 9-dart leg. And that was at the very same tournament where Richie Edhouse had that mini run to the 3rd round. But at the time, I remember reading that it was the first time, Van der Pas, it was the first time that anybody had attempted that particular route. I know there's like 4,000 variations and combinations, but it was the first time that anybody had tried the 153 checkout, and I found that very hard to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's any way of verifying that, but
Tell Michael van Gerwen that, he'll go for it. He hasn't done it yet. Tops. 10s has to go. Oh, great darting Jackpot to equalise.
7 leg is Richie to throw
But
first.
yeah, if you speak to Van Gerwen and you tell him that exact story, he will do it, because he's had 2 9-darters this year, both different ways,
Well,
and he's searching for different ways to do the 3rd one.
hang on, has he had 3? He's had 3 9-darters.
Oh, he has
this
had
year.
3, yeah, my mistake. 3 different ways as well.
Yeah, he's had 141 checkout, the 150 checkout, and the 147. Treble 19, treble 16, double 18, treble 19, treble 19, double 18.
100.
Sorry, treble 19. I'm getting confused here now.
Full double top on one of them.
Yeah, it was treble 20, treble 20, double 12. He's done the orthodox one.
By the time his career is over, he will have ticked all the boxes for me. But at some point, he's going to have to draw the line and go for the 167 3 times. The only person who's had a 167 in a 9-darter is Jamie Caven, funny enough. But he didn't get 3 of them, he only got 1 of them. Now, this game could potentially just be halfway through. It's very similar to the game they had last year. They're going toe-to-toe at each other. And it's a great match to watch, but it's also a great game to play in, because you can tell that both of them are in the zone. Treble 19. Oh, no 80, he says. Key point, potentially. Richie can't take the 61. Needs a 17 for double top.
21.
Chance to steal then.
You require 68.
Indeed. And this could well be the turning point. Double 4 for Lewis.
60.
Missed opportunity once again.
Twice now he's had realistic opportunities like that, and he's let them slip. So Edhouse is back for tops and takes it. 7 legs in, and he has the lead still. Get the feeling that Adrian is just maybe toying with him a little bit and waiting for that real hot streak that we saw from Dave Chisnell against Aaron Monk. If you didn't catch that game, you missed a display. What a game from Chisnell. And Aaron Monk really was very good in that match as well.
Yeah, I was right before, by the way. Van Gerwen, he did one with a 141 checkout, 1916s, double 18. He had a 150 in the 3rd visit, treble 19, treble 19, double 18. I was right about that, yeah. And then the 147 that we saw was treble 19, bull, double 20. That's, yeah.
60.
If I get a chance to speak to Michael in the break in between sessions, I'll pass that on in case you don't. Wouldn't it be funny if we tell him that at about 5:30 because he's on at 7:45 tonight local time, 6:45
96.
in the United Kingdom.
164.
Interesting to see if he goes for it. And Adrian was going for that 164. Just looking to square it up.
64.
Leaves a ton. Needs another one, you feel. Gets another one.
140. Adrian, you require 100.
Difference between a 164 and a 124 is massive. Because you can make one mistake on a 124. You can't make any with a 164. Two double tops. Yep. Sneaking under. Oh, just go to the right and do it that way. Fantastic from Jackpot.
Well, it's ironic, isn't it? I mean, he missed 2 darts at double 4 for the break of throw, and then he takes out tops to level things up at 4 apiece.
30.
If this is a boxing match, I'd say that they've both been jabbing well. And we're waiting for someone
58.
to really hurt the other guy. And we're in that leg, aren't we, Rob, that we talk about all the time, leg 9.
Yep, the all-important leg 9. Sometimes it's the all-important leg 8.
Perfect time to break. Gives you the opportunity to hold.
And he has threatened this, Lewis.
60.
But this is very much going the way of the previous meeting on the European stage that we talked about just a few minutes ago. Very similar pattern. Edhouse giving a really good account of himself, but you just wonder if it's all just going to unravel for him. He may well start feeling the heat here, Richie Edhouse. This is a big moment for him.
Yeah, the 60s have dried up a little bit for Richie in this leg. And Adrian is just jabbing him away. But he's found them again. Excellent from Madhouse.
Well, no sign of him feeling the heat there. It's a reassuring 180 on the Edhouse throw.
What a sensible switch that was. If he gets the 19, he's on 144, which is a lot easier than 143. Treble 13, double 16. Just on the outside. And this will be typical Jackpot if he takes the 106.
A missed dart at double 16 for Richie Edhouse opens the door for Adrian Lewis. Treble 18 would have left double 16.
58.
And it's back to the drawing board once again for Adrian Lewis, because Edhouse has 3 darts at double 16, and things might just start to get a little bit tetchy for the 2-time world champion. That said, Edhouse needs double 8 now, and he finds it. Really good performance this by Richie Edhouse.
Yeah, the first 9 darts of that 9th leg came up dry, and then he found another gear. I think that's a sign of the confidence he's got in his game at the end of matches at this point in time. And Adrian, if he wants to go through to play against Cullen or Durrant, he's going to have to win the next 2 legs.
100.
May not be the glitz and glamour of what we saw with Aaron Monk and Dave Chisnell, but it's been an engrossing contest. Can't take your eyes off it.
Yeah, it's a tense affair to round off the afternoon session. The evening session
95.
underway at 7:15 local time, 6:15 in the UK. Max Hopkegan-Brown with the honour of starting things off. Lewis looking to keep himself interested, and he's down to 106 again. He's already had a crack at the 106 in the previous leg. Plenty in hand, you feel here, especially if Edhouse doesn't register anything significant.
Is Adrian going to do what Kim Hybrex did to Wadey and break him at the very final hurdle?
Well, it could happen. It could well happen. Tops.
He's speeding up.
86.
His rhythm has been so perfect all the way through the game, then he just starts speeding up. I don't understand why.
60. Adrian, you require 20.
Well, he may well take his time over this one. Ooh, long way off. Double 5 required here, and Edhouse on the 150
Yeah, it's on the 10th
will not get a crack at it. And once again, as was the case in the previous match between Wade and Hybrix. We are going all the way, just as we did when these two met in Leverkusen at the start of last year. And it's Edhouse who has the advantage of throwing first, and he's looking to make the most of it as well. Loads of room.
100.
Ah, the second dart wasn't good. I thought it may just have crept in. It was just obscured slightly.
It's difficult to tell sometimes with those very thin points. You know exactly
100.
where Adrian's are because they're a lovely shade of gold. It's been a very professional contest from both players. And I have no idea who's winning this. But when Adrian plants that one there and that one there, and potentially one just to the left of those two, like that.
Glorious. Yeah, Edhouse maybe slightly hot under the collar now. Another one of those would be priceless, just the wrong side of the wire. But that's okay.
Great adjustment. Fantastic.
125.
Yeah, that could be pivotal. That could well be pivotal. 2 darts away, potentially an 11 dart break on the cards here. Lewis has already taken out the 96 today as well.
58.
And he did it with a very accomplished first dart. Let's see what happens here. May have a little bit to work with as well. Fails to find the treble. 16 for tops next time if he gets the chance.
Wouldn't this be something? 1, 2. Adrian knows he's got a shot at it. Is it deja vu from the European Championships for 80 when Chizzy took out 157 in a 6-5? Edhouse has got the crowd. Edhouse has the game! Oh my, what a way to finish the afternoon session! And it keeps happening to Adrian Lewis. Why do people keep doing that to him? Just a mark of respect. He did everything right, but then at the end, Edhouse did everything right.
Brilliant
What a game.
Brilliant way to round off the afternoon session. It certainly came to life in that 11th leg, and you just sensed Adrian Lewis knew what was happening by the reaction of the crowd. He had a look at the scoreboard. He knew what Edhouse required, and Edhouse conjures up a 160 checkout, and once again he is through to the final day on the European Tour. Terrific way, terrific drama to round things off. A quick word from your latest winner,
mate,
the final winner.
Playing him, I was 5-3 up last time and I lost 6-5. And I was near enough there, but he kept coming back. I was like, please, just let me have a chance. And no happy days, that went in. I didn't know it went in.
What does it mean to you, beating on that stage world champion, number 16 in the world?
For me, I'm a challenge tour player, so for me this is massive. Every pound is massive, so I just don't know what to say, really.
That's cool. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Richie Edhouse, kann es gar nicht glauben, dass hier einen Weltmeister auf so einer großen Bühne bezwingt und das alles mit diesem tollen 160er Finish im letzten und entscheidenden Leg. Und wenn Richie jetzt hier noch ein paar Flights verschenkt, darf ich mich bei euch schon mal für den Besuch bedanken, für eine wunderbare Session bedanken, in der Hoffnung, dass wir viele von euch später wiedersehen werden in der Abendsession. Und dann haben wir wirklich tolle Matches, unter anderem natürlich, das ist der Start in die Session, die Partie vom Maximizer Max Hopp. Nochmal einen Glückwunsch und großen Applaus für Edhouse, Richie Edhouse.